Welcome to NCBOLD. My name is Susanne Mullis, and I'm one of two media coordinators at D.H. Conley High School in Pitt County. The title of my session is Librarians plus Learners, Collaborative Magic for All Students to Shine. Hopefully today I will offer you some ideas and opportunities to run back to the classroom in August and be ready to engage with your school librarian. Thank you for this session. I've been in education for 22 years. I've taught ELA and social studies at the middle school level, creative writing and English at the high school level, and developmental reading and writing at the community college level. In the fall of 2022, I started my journey as a media coordinator. I was ready for a change, and this has been the best change ever. This is a great job. It allows me to reach out to students throughout the entire school and teachers throughout the school. It allows me to tap into multiple curriculums and to be creative, engage in digital tools, to be a leader, and have opportunities to collaborate and to learn and listen and add to the students in our school and to our community. In my session, I would begin by playing the game Password. Some of you may be familiar with the game Password. It has been around a long time. The idea of Password is that each member gets a list of words, and you can only give your partner one word clue to try to get them to figure out what your secret word or words are. So if, for example, my word is popsicle, I may share a clue word with my partner, like the word frozen. Chances are they are probably not going to figure out the word popsicle from that word. But if I share the word treat next, they may put the words treat and frozen together and come up with my secret word, popsicle. Password is a great game to play with students. It is fun for adults as well. It's a fun way to get started in a professional development or PLC, just to kind of get everybody communicating and settle down a little bit. It's a great way for teachers to review vocabulary in the classroom. And if I, for example, am collaborating with another teacher, I may know some of those vocabulary words ahead of time and can actually surprise the students by showing them that I know those words. So it's a great way to connect like that with a fun game. Throughout this session, you'll notice that majority of my pictures and lessons may be with the special education department and exceptional children in our school. Now, what is the special education department and who are the exceptional children? Well, that's a big question. The special education department is basically the umbrella that the exceptional children sit underneath. So exceptional children may be throughout your school. They are not just those kids that are in the self-contained classrooms. They may be students that are in occupational resource classes where they dip in and out of special education classes, or they may be students that spend their days in regular ed classrooms. Where are these teachers located? Do they have assistants? They should. And they can be located anywhere in your building. Honestly, it probably just depends on space. It's just like with any department. A lot of times it's nice to be close to your co-teachers, but depending on space and need and accessibility, where these teachers and where these students are located, may differ. And what are the different abilities of the exceptional children in your school? That can be a broad range of differing abilities. You may have students that are confined to wheelchairs or beds, may require, suction periodically throughout a class period. They may be even homebound, and you may have students that struggle to communicate verbally or have different mobility skills. And then you may have students that are, like I said, engaged in regular education classrooms. They may be at some level on the autism spectrum. And so there's a variety of students that exceptional children is a big umbrella. It covers a lot of students and a lot of differing abilities. But all of these students absolutely, just like any other student, deserve the right to experience the library programming. The teachers love to have the media center participate with their students and engage in their classrooms. So if you're like me in answering those bullet points on the previous, or like me 2 years ago, I really didn't know much about the difference between the special education department and exceptional children. And I didn't really know where everybody was located throughout the school as far as the teachers goes and the students. But I feel more confident now. I will suggest that it is really important not just to know where your special education teachers and students are located throughout your school, but it is important to get to know your other colleagues as well. This opens up the doors for collaborations. Obviously, I love to collaborate with teachers in the media center, but it's just as powerful for teachers from different curriculums to get together and to collaborate. As educators, we cannot be experts on everything. We try, but we cannot. We definitely can't be experts on policies, regulations, and some of the standards that are out there because sometimes they are changing, so you might feel like you're an expert one day and then things will change the next. Below are a list of links that relate largely to North Carolina and students with disabilities or exceptional children in schools, but also included the Americans with Disabilities Act and the U.S. Department of Education stance on special needs. I'll give this video a chance to pop up. I like this video that's coming up. I pulled it from YouTube, and it just offers a good view of what librarians can give to students and staff in the schools.
The information landscape has changed. It is easier than ever to create work and publish it to the world. And with the tap of a button, we can access that information from anywhere at any time. And that's why librarians are more vital than ever. In an age of instant information, librarians help students learn to ask better questions, find valid sources, and deconstruct information. Librarians teach students the art and science of content curation, where they can learn to connect ideas from multiple sources and apply a unique lens to that information. They ignite a passion for learning, whether a student is geeking out on informational text or getting lost in a fantastical world of fiction. Librarians inspire students to think divergently and experiment with new ideas. They help students engage in research and development as they create empathy-driven design products. And that's the thing. Every week, my son and daughter get excited about library time. To them, it's like going to a candy store where they can find a new novel or make a new product or chase their curiosity. It is a refuge of wisdom in a culture of noise and distraction. And that's what I love about librarians. They inspire creativity, critical thinking, and empathy. In other words, they help our children become the kind of people we want them to be.
In this video, one of the things that really stands out to me is the word refuge, that librarians offer a refuge for students and for staff members. We welcome all students and staff into the library and love to collaborate and engage with them. We love to just offer them the space to explore and to learn new things.
The information landscape is
So librarians are magical. They can collaborate, connect, and curate lesson plans and library programming, as I've mentioned before, to serve all of the students while also integrating technology, which is really important. Students are growing up in a technological world and they know a lot about technology. So staying on the cusp of all of the new tech tools that are out there is really important. In this Padlet link here, this is an opportunity for session members to be able to go in and share some of the tech tools that they have experienced or that they use and have access to, and to talk a little bit about how those are being used in their school. A lot of people may say, I don't know exactly what a tech tool is. Well, technology tools can be things like this Padlet. They can be Kahoots or Class Dojo for the elementary students. So those are all technology tools. Basically, technology tools are anything digital that can support and maybe even enhance learning and perhaps make our teaching a little bit easier. In the school library, connecting with curriculums and technology is very important. As I said before, these students are growing in a technological world, very different from the time that I grew up in school. There were not computers for a long time, or cell phones, or Google did not exist. And so offering students things beyond Google and having them engage in makerspace and robotics and those sorts of things is a lot of fun and exciting for them. And who knows what sparks it might set off for them as far as learning goes. The next few slides are my favorite. They are some fun ways that we have engaged with teachers and students in the classroom. A lot of this that you'll see is library programming, and we always communicate and collaborate with the classroom teachers to find out what words are important in their classrooms right now. What are some vocabulary terms that they are talking about? What are the goals that they're talking about? What are the standards that they are looking at? And we take those things and we incorporate them into the lesson plan. Sometimes there are times where the classroom teacher may not have a lot of time, but I have a big idea. And so I may work on that lesson plan a lot on my own after I have gathered some information from the teacher about the students, about the goals, about the vocabulary, about anything that is important to know with respect to the lesson plan that I want to develop. And then I may share that plan with the teachers and talk to them either face-to-face, pop in their classroom during their planning period for just a couple of minutes to not take that time from them, or communicate via email. Sometimes email is the best way to go. You can go back and forth. You can share your resources. They can comment, see what you're doing. It makes it easier. And just to remember, too, that all of the examples that you're about to see can absolutely be tweaked to fit other curriculums and to fit all grade levels from kindergarten up. Box of Text by Kim Smith was a fun book that we did close to the end of the school year. I literally went around the library and grabbed whatever scrap book boxes I could find. And I've actually used book boxes, cut them up and used them for other things. You'll see another exercise where I used book boxes. But all you need, scrap boxes, toilet paper rolls, yarn, crayons, markers, glue, tape, any of those sort of crafty things that, regardless of funding, a lot of librarians are going to have laying around their space. So we read in the story Box of Text by Kim Smith. It's about a little girl who loves to build these box castles. And you can see on the book cover that they're these beautiful castles that are elaborate. You can also see in our pictures that our students, this was 2 classrooms that came in and did this project, that they were super excited and very proud of the castles that they built out of their boxes. Now, I will say I did cut out with the box cutter. I cut the doors and windows out ahead of time. And I did that just, number one, to save some time. And number two, it was just probably safer for me to be able to go ahead and cut through some of the boxes. They were a little tricky to cut. So that is something to consider depending on the age and the skill level of the students that you're working with. But basically what I did, though, is the pieces that I cut out of the boxes, the windows and the doors, I folded them a little flat underneath, and the students took the piece that was standing up and they decorated the front of it. Some of them drew princesses, or they drew and colored flowers or trees, or I had a student that drew a shark, and we took the shark, and in the picture on the right, we put a little moat with some blue paper in front of their castle, and we stuck his shark in cardboard shark in the moat. So students had a lot of fun. You could build these castles up. One thing that I absolutely want to do this school year with a math teacher is I want to read box of text to a group of students, maybe even like a trigonometry class of students or a geometry class. And I want that teacher in our collaboration to do what I can't do, and that's come up with the angles and so forth that these students can cut and design in their boxes. And I would love to have a math class come in and strategically design box castles, and maybe even have a little competition among their peers. So see, that is just another example of how you can level up or tweak or change curriculums with this particular activity. The QR code in the corner is actually a really short video that the students loved, and it is the character from PBS, Daniel Tiger, and he is talking about his cardboard world. And so we watched that ahead of time because it actually gave the students some ideas about things to create with their cardboard pieces. This was one of my favorite lesson plans, and you'll see the little bouncing arrow that you can click on the link there, and that takes you to a learning focused lesson plan. So The Search for the Giant Arctic Jellyfish by Chloe Savage. It's a beautiful book. You can see the smiles on the kids' faces. They created jellyfish. This was a brand new idea to me, and the way that I came up with them to create the jellyfish. We talked to the teacher in the classroom. We communicated about some different things that the students were learning about, and they were talking about, I think this one was when they were talking about different types of jobs. And so in the story, we were talking about people that have different jobs, and we talked about scientists, and we looked at a video about scientists who go down and even search for these truly giant Arctic jellyfish. I mean, they are massive. And so we watched videos so students could see what the jellyfish looked like, how big they were, and honestly, just what a jellyfish looked like, because not every student has a visual image of what a jellyfish looked like. So once we did all of that and got to the activity part, we basically took cardboard cutouts from old boxes in the library, and the students used Elmer's glue to design their jellyfish. They sprinkled a lot of table salt on that glue, and then we took watercolors, just bought from the Dollar General, and whenever you would dampen the brush and drop it in the paint and then tap it to the salt, the paint spread, and it was just the coolest thing ever. So you see, we have these beautiful rainbow jellyfish. It was really exciting. This next lesson we did in support of Earth Day. The students were doing some activities in their classroom that tied into what we were doing, what I wanted to do. And in all honesty, I came across this book. It was a brand new book in our library, and I really wanted to read it for Earth Day. So I reached out to the classroom teacher, and I was like, what are you doing? What can we do? What have they talked about? What have they learned? And so came up with this lesson, and there again is another lesson plan under the little bouncing arrow, and it was awesome. So we had the students, we read the story, we learned a little bit more about what Earth Day is, and we took them outside. Right outside of our library is a little space that you see the students in here, and that is where we filled up a bunch of empty pots. There were lots of flower pots out there, but they didn't have anything in them. And so the students loved planting, and it was just a great experience for everybody. All of the students that were in these 3 classes that came outside to plant flowers and herbs in these pots were able to participate. We have students with mobility issues. We had 3 students that were in wheelchairs. We made sure that they all were able to have gloves and that they were all able to touch and smell the herbs and the flowers, and that they got their hands in the dirt just at least a little bit. It was a wonderful experience, and everything grew like crazy. And so even at the end of the school year, we would invite the students to come back and make sure they walked through there to see all of the plants and flowers that they had planted. A computer called Catherine is Catherine Johnson, and there is a lesson plan link, a learning focused lesson plan link here as well. This was a wonderful experience. I did this earlier in the school year. Again, communicated with the classroom teachers about this and things that they were learning. I believe this book might have been done during Black History Month. I think that was the time period of it. And so you see the kids and even one of the teachers in the background throwing paper airplanes. This is another activity that can absolutely be leveled up for different curriculums, for science, for math. I mean, I could absolutely see it being used by a teacher in those classrooms. Basically what the kids learned about, and you'll see in the lesson plan if you look at it, is that we talked about some sciencey things. We talked about how important thrust is and what that word means. We had that word on the board in the library. I kept coming back to it as we were talking, and the other teachers that were in there, the classroom assistants and the classroom teachers that were participating, they shared the word too as the students were working. And in the end, the activity that we did was the students folded paper airplanes. We had one student in there who is always very quiet, and he was a phenomenal jet plane folder. He ended up folding everybody's planes, and it was just great. So when the students folded their planes, they also needed to practice folding the planes to see where they had to hold the plane, and depending on where they held it, did it fly better? And then they would punch holes in the bottom of the plane, loop a rubber band through, and then hold the plane and pull the rubber band back and let it go to try to shoot the plane across the room. That was the idea of thrust. So we talked about how the rubber band might need to be located in different places, which is why we practiced throwing it from different places in the beginning. So this was a great activity. It was a little frustrating for students, but they were bound and determined to get these planes to fly across the library. And they did. By the end, we had planes going everywhere. Now it's your time to create. Below, you'll see a link to a choice board where you can create. You can have the opportunity to look at different activities that we have done. Choice boards are a great way to share information and present information to students as well as to adults. I like choice boards. I did not, honestly, I don't think I even knew what a choice board was before 2020 when we had to start working from home. But now I have the experience with choice boards. I think they're great. They're a great way to get students to practice or try different things. They're a lot of fun. So what does it take to collaborate? Not a lot, honestly. It's just popping by somebody's classroom or emailing them or picking up the phone and calling them. I do it all the time. I'm really good at just popping my head in the classroom, though, because I feel like they might not say no if they see me face to face. If I come in a room and I go, look, I know you're busy. I just want to take a moment of your time. I have this great idea. I know it's this time of year. I know you're doing this in the classroom because we talked about it in the hall the other day. And I want to read this book. What do you think? Majority of the time, they're going to say yes. Okay, so it's just a matter of communicating, maybe via email after that, to figure out a time, to figure out some more specific things like what standards they're working on. And if I'm not familiar with the class, I may want to know a little bit about the students that are in there. Sometimes this is where data can be really helpful. And data, as you'll see before we end today, is a great advocate for teachers and for media coordinators. I use it. It is absolutely an advocate for my position in schools, since a lot of counties are closing down media centers in schools. I need data, and I use data, and I embrace data. So discussing those things ahead of time is really important, and then sort of going back and forth. Again, email is sometimes easiest. Creating that lesson plan, including STEM, making sure that you're incorporating vocabulary words and the standards and those things that the teacher feels their goals are in the classroom and objectives. And we always include digital resources in library programming and in our lesson plans, and get the kids to participate in makerspace activities. The ultimate goal in the end is to teach, collaborate, have fun, and to make some magic with these kids. And like I said in the last slide, collecting data equals advocacy. It absolutely does. I use Google Forms a lot because I'm familiar with them, and they're quick to make, and they hold all of the information that I feel is important. I've tried a few other things, and I always kind of go back to Google Forms because they're easiest for me. But I have been known to collect pre-tests, post-tests, surveys, like I said, to staff members and to students. And I take a lot of pictures. Pictures are part of your advocacy too. So all of this data is really important. If you were in my session, we would play a little game of musical chairs, basically taking a moment to review all of the things and share a little bit about hopefully some things you've been inspired to move forward with your school librarian when the new year comes very quickly. So thinking about these things, what have you used, done, or thought about as far as collaborating with your school librarian? And if you've never thought about collaborating with your school librarian, have you thought about something today? Do you suddenly have an idea in your head that you would love to get together with your school librarian and hash out once school starts? In the end, teacher-librarian collaborations build leaders. They not only make me, the media coordinators and librarians, leaders, the teachers can become leaders, and the students can become leaders. I have a few links here to some of the standards that you're more than welcome to go look at. The North Carolina School Library Media Coordinator Standards and the ISTE standards for teachers and students. I have tried to become a lot more familiar with those this school year. They are very important and valuable to teachers and students and myself. My exit ticket is what was one big takeaway from this session. Hopefully you have several, but I would love to know one big takeaway from this session. Here are a few more pictures, fun pictures of students from the library this school year. We have used AutoDraw, which is an AI drawing tool, dressed up like Pete the Cat in his magical sunglasses. And we have done snowman bowling and actually made snow. It was really cool. And using the Spheros, this was an experience because we had a lot of students with mobility issues, but getting them to be able to navigate the iPad and drive the Sphero to bowl was a lot of fun and exciting to watch. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have had fun in this session and that I have inspired you to collaborate with your school librarian. Please complete the feedback form below. Thank you.